Hey guys, this session we'll be talking about functional notation. Now, all we're going to do is give a new way to describe the y variable or the output. So we know we've already talked about other ways to name the y variable is range, y value, output, or dependent variable. Now we're just going to change it so that way when we write it, it reads the way we want from left to right. So one thing we need to talk about is what it means to be a function of something else. We talked about functional notation, or we talked about being a function as in what is a function. And it either has to have every x has exactly one y, or the graph has to pass the vertical line test. So now I want to talk about things that are functions of other things. We have to know what that word means. What a function means is there is an output because of an input. So you could say, my weight is a function of how much I eat. Okay? And the way I would write that is, my weight is a function of the amount I eat. So W is a function of E. And it'll make more sense as we keep going. Right now, I just want to make sure we understand what this concept of being a function of something else is. Not just what is mathematically a function, but now we're talking about one variable being a function of another variable. Another thing you could say is, my grade is a function of how much I study. And the way I can write that is, my grade is a function of the amount of time I spend studying. So G is a function of S. This means my grade is a function of how much I study. So watch how this is written. 99% of the time, 99.99% of the time, parentheses mean multiplying. But remember, what it really means is that word of. That word of can indicate multiplying, or it can just indicate a function of something. So when you see something like this, it is not G times S. It is G is a function of S. And it might seem tricky in the beginning because it's new to you, but you just have to get used to it, and you have to know when we're using it and what we're talking about. If you see it, G parentheses S equals something that has to do with S, my grade is a function of how much I study, and then it will tell you exactly what that relationship is over here. That's a little bit farther down the road. We're just learning right now what it means to be a function of something else. So what's going to change now is we're going to learn why our output is a function of X, our input. So now we're going to have a whole new way. We're not going to say y all the time anymore. Sometimes we will, sometimes we won't. Just like sometimes we use range, sometimes we use dependent variable. Well, now we're going to replace y. So y means equals a function of x. Function f of, you can use parentheses, x. So now instead of writing y, we can write function of x. And it'll make more sense as we go through, but just right now, I hope it makes sense. This is going to be our new notation. Functional notation. We're going to take out y, we're going to replace it with f of x. Again, this does not mean multiplying, it means a function of x. You input x and you get out y, okay? And we're going to show what that means, especially in example 1 and 2. But I'm hoping this intro helps you understand what it means to be a function of something else.